So again, it's momentum season. We want to really pay attention to as we go after these couple of different opportunities under the kind of momentum bucket, and like making sure we have the right partner identified with the program office, like who's actually getting budget, who's bringing in that funding. So the next piece I really want to talk about is UFRs. So this isn't like a specific SBIR opportunity. This is totally outside of SBIR. It's fallout funding. Again, that's unfunded request, UFR. And the process is a little bit different at the program office level and at the squadron and operational level. So let's break that down a little bit. So again, on our website, you can go read a little bit more about this if you want to dig in a bit deeper than this video. Also, just a quick call out, like if you want help with some of the different phase 3 pathways, we've created this guide. It's really created for helping educate government, especially contracting officers. So helping them understand like some of the statutory authority, the ways you can go about actually executing a phase 3. So anyways, that's for free. Throw in your email. You can get that guide on the website. So let's break down UFRs. The number one piece that like people misunderstand about fallout money and UFRs is they think it's this big crazy thing that happens in September. Yes, a lot of it does get executed in September. But again, going back to when I was a contracting officer, I was at a small base and we'd execute $7 million a year in different purchases. Again, just a small base. And it really starts kind of October, November, December, because by January, February, they're actually racking and stacking priorities. So like, what's this actually look like? So again, I think the big push, and from my experience, what we've worked with clients, so on both sides of the fence, you really want to start now through the end of the calendar year. You want to start identifying the right operational and program office partners that might be able to actually go and make this request, and then do as much of that paperwork to help push it through the process as possible. Because when we start the new year, like we really want that paperwork and all of that kind of in place and starting to be routed, because by February and March, that's when they're often racking and stacking priorities and saying like, hey, we think we'll get another $7 million this year. Here's our list of things up to $7 million that we're going to buy. So then the contracting process, and that runs like starts from there, and that runs kind of through the summer into the fall. So while a lot of the execution of the contracts might happen in the summer or July, kind of through September, most of it, a lot of it is actually processes that started 6 to 9 months, aka now, ahead of time. So that's like the really big piece to understand. So let's talk about operational versus program office. So the biggest difference there is really just the funding amounts. All of this is really going to be kind of under the bucket of operation and maintenance dollars. So O&M for short. So on the operational side, I will say, like in my experience as a contracting officer, there was one buy I did up to 1.5 million. Again, this is at like the base, the squadron level, and the Air Force side, that's group, squadron group, wing level. All the branches call it a little bit different, but basically at that operational level, anything between 50,000 and 200,000 is a pretty normal ask, and it's not kind of outrageous. It shouldn't get too many red flags. Then it just comes down to like the prioritization of why is this capability needed over some of these others. So like that's the piece that you'll see at the operational level. At the program office level, anywhere from $1 million to $8 million. We've heard of it like 12, 18, even more $1 million or more. So like it can be a pretty broad amount, but again, between 1 and 8 million seems like a pretty normal request. But again, like the timelines are pretty similar. They vary a little bit by major command, some of the different acquisition offices and things like that. But generally, like the sooner the better. We've heard for fiscal year 2025 that they've already racked and stacked some of the fallout funding priorities before the fiscal year even started. But again, most cycles we think is like, again, by February, March, they're racking and stacking kind of that priority list to actually be purchased. Now, the big play here, maybe you're only getting a few 100,000, or maybe you're only getting $1 million. If you let the contracting office just run its normal course of business, let's say you have $100,000, they'll give you a contract award for $100,000. This really starts playing into TACFI, to high ceiling phase 3s, to StratFi, even AppFit as well, which we won't really cover as much in this video. The key here, though, is like if you get $100,000, but client, example from some current clients, some companies we've talked to is they've got money coming in fiscal year 27 or fiscal year 28. So money's already been identified. It's already been programmed in. It should be coming, and sometimes that's millions of dollars, but they don't have a place to put it. What you can do now, even with just, again, a few $100,000, maybe a few $1 million through this UFR process, is actually use that as kind of like your seed funding, your seed task order to go and ask for a much higher contract ceiling. So like that's the pro play, in my opinion, is, hey, I grabbed $100,000, but I set up a $20 million contract ceiling because XYZ, because I've got all this other funding coming, or I'm teeing up some matchings for TACFI or StratFi, or putting myself in a really good place for outfits. Like that's the long-term look on even just a smaller amount of money here. So that's how it all kind of ties together.